Hey there guys, so I have changed my angle yet again because I was really tired of the same Mark Twain poster back behind my head, and now you can see those back there are collages I made from when I went to Europe, and so they have like all these brochures and cutouts that I did, stuff like that. And then you can also see my thesis whiteboard, so if you've been following my Thesis Thursday posts, then you can see all that, and maybe hopefully as the semester goes on, those two other whiteboards will fill up like that one is. So we'll see how that goes. Someday I will get a tripod. It will happen. Right now I'm broke. So sorry about like this space, but that's what we've got. Anyways, so today from the notebook, I wanted to do a video that's a lot happier than the video that I did last week. Last week, I talked about the top 10 series that I will never finish, and I got really expressive, but also kind of mean to a couple of, well, not a couple, 10 series that I'm not gonna finish. And I know that, I recognize it. So this week I wanted to go the complete opposite direction and do top 10 series I can't believe I haven't finished. And in making this list, I literally shocked myself. So I just had to do it, had to share it. So this list is comprised of books series that I've started, that I never finished, and now all these books are out. There's a difference between books series that I want to finish, because obviously there are a bunch of them, but all the books aren't out yet. And that's different. So these are series that I could have read the entire series by now, but I haven't, and that's silly. So the first series on my list, you might not actually believe, and I'm going to talk about the caveat to this, but it is the His Fair Assassin trilogy by Robin Lefevers. This is the second book in the series. The first one is Grave Mercy. I literally own this, and I've owned it since it came out in hardcover. So why I haven't continued it, I don't know, because I loved Grave Mercy when it came out. And like I said, the caveat to that is that when I reread that book for my thesis, I realized, oh my god, this book and this romance isn't as great as I thought it was, and actually it's like kind of harmful. But that aside, I really love the books and I love the concept, and I really think that because these books are more companion novels, they don't follow the same character, that there will be something interesting in these that I really do want to read about. And I mean, come on, assassin nuns? Why? I've had this. Why haven't I read it? I don't know. Speaking of books that I own, but series I haven't finished, let's talk about the Grisha series by Leigh Bardugo. Again, this is not the first book in the series. This is the second book. I own the second book. But I've only read the first one, and I've never read this one. And I just, what am I doing? I don't understand. And I mean, I know I had my issues with the first book for sure. I think I actually reviewed in my blog somewhere. But I mean, like a Russian-based fantasy, and they're so cool. And I've heard such good things. And then I want to go on and read her Six of Crows series, which I've heard is good. But like, I haven't finished this yet. And I honestly, like, what am I doing? I own it. It's right here. It's in my hands. I should read that. Probably. And again, because I'm a book hoarder, let's talk about the Cruel series by Jennifer Albin. Again, here's the second book in the series. This isn't so bad because I just acquired Altered a little while ago. I read Cruel actually as an ARC when it was first coming out. So this is something that a series I haven't picked up in a while, but I was on Book Outlet and this book was there for really cheap. And I just remember loving the concept of Cruel. When I saw this book on Book Outlet, I immediately picked it up and I said, I should really finish this series because they're all out now. And why wouldn't you? I actually haven't seen too many people talk about these books. So if you've read these and you want to tell me what you thought about them, I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments, because I thought it was a really cool concept and I liked the first book. So tell me if this is something that should be on this list, because I think it should be, but of course I haven't read them. So, things. So to go back to my thesis for a second, if you followed any of my Thesis Thursday posts, you know that another one of the 5 novels that I read for the original first chapter was Graceling by Kristen Cashore. I've read that book multiple times. I have it. And somewhere in my books, I don't know where this is and this is scary, because I thought I brought all the books that I have but need to read to college, and I guess I didn't. Anyways, I know somewhere that I have Bitter Blue by Kristen Cashore, and I've had that for a while, and while I was never very interested in Fire, which is technically the second book in that series, I was definitely interested in Bitter Blue because I love that character from Graceling. And again, both books that I've had access to and I own, but I haven't read. And I really, really want to, because I also think that Katza and Poe's relationship is a really, really strong and solid one. And I hear that it gets, you touch upon it in Bitter Blue. And I want to see that for myself, and I want to see where it went, and if what I say in my thesis holds up in that second book. So, or third book. Companion terms. Speaking of more books I own, I honestly just remembered that I think I have the arc of Rose Under Fire by Elizabeth Wine on my Kindle. Let me explain to you why this is so important to me. Codename Verity, which is Elizabeth Wine's first book, destroyed me. I got the arc of that. I definitely had the arc of that, and I read that when it first came out. And if you need a book about female friendship and World War II and just absolute heartbreak and beauty and, oh God, everything that you could need ever in a book that just rips out your soul and leaves you feeling too many things, that's Codename Verity. And so when Rose Under Fire, which is kind of a companion to that book, came out, I was like, bam, that's mine. It was reviewed on my blog, but by a co-blogger, because I, at the time, was too busy to get around to it because I had too many other arcs. So I never read it. I never read it. There is an Elizabeth Wine book out there somewhere, and I realize I'm pronouncing her name the German way, and I'm sorry if that's wrong, but I'm excited. Hang on. There's a book out there by this author that I haven't read. I don't need my soul that much. I need to have read that book now. What's wrong with me? Now I can talk about another series that I haven't finished. And this has really been on my mind because the cover reveal for his next series just happened. And the cover is freaking amazing. And I mean, so are the covers of these books, and you'll see in a second. But it is the Storm Dancer series by Jay Kristoff. Again, I got an arc of Storm Dancer, the first book. Actually, I think it's called the Kinslayer Chronicles. That's the actual series. I'm calling it the Storm Dancer series because I have no imagination. Storm Dancer is the first book. It is amazing. It's Asian-inspired mythology-based book about a girl who basically befriends a flying tiger and has to save the world. And I don't know why you wouldn't want to read that at all. But of course, since it has Asian mythology mixed in, it is totally up my alley. And the covers are amazing, and the book was amazing, and I loved it. I loved it. I got an arc, like I said, and I read it. I never read the second book, and I actually got Taylor from Bibliomancers for Beginners into that series, and he read the second book, but not the third book, and I'm sensing a book club thing I should do. Again, if you are into those books, his new series, like I said, is about, I think, an assassin. I haven't really looked into it that much because I saw the cover and I went, oh my god, I need this in my life. And so I'm already sold. His writing is amazing, but I just didn't do it justice, and that makes me sad. So this list came about because I was going through my Goodreads and I was literally looking for series that I hadn't finished. And the reason that I was looking for that was because on my shelf at home, I was staring at some of my books. And I saw 2 hardcovers on the shelf, 2 very beautiful hardcovers. And it was the hardcovers for Incarnate and then Asunder by Jodi Meadows. I love these books. It wasn't intentional, but basically my prom dress ended up being like the colors from the first cover. And I loved it. And they were great, and they said so many good things about love and relationships while also being a really cool fantasy series. And so I was looking at the shelf and these 2 hardcovers that were sitting there, and then I was thinking, did I get an ARC of the 3rd book? Is that why I don't have the 3rd book on the shelf? And I was sitting there and I was thinking about it, and then I was like, oh my god, I never finished the series. I absolutely never finished it. I didn't read the 3rd book in the Incarnate series. I have failed Jody Meadows. I have failed her. Have you guys ever heard of the Hybrid Chronicles by Kat Zhang? Because you should have. I got the first 2 books in that series as ARCs, and I loved them. I think at least one of them got a 5-star rating. I'm not entirely sure. Guess what, guys? There's a 3rd book in that series, the finale of the series out there, and I never read it. I stopped book blogging, as you may know if you followed this blog for a while. I stopped after being really hot and heavy with ARCs and all that kind of stuff. And I guess that in the shuffle, because I didn't have hardcovers or I had been reading so much, that this series just got lost. And I must never have seen it in a bookstore either, because I know I would have picked up the 3rd book, even if I, you know, books for free are nice, but I love that series and I love the author and I love the writing. And they were really, really cool. Anyways, the series is about a society where in every one body when it's born, there are actually 2 people. And so they're kind of like sisters in a same body, and once you reach a certain age, one of those personalities is supposed to fade to the background, and so there's only one person. And if 2 people stay in the singular body, then you're literally like murdered and culled from the society because there's something wrong with you. And so of course this book is about a single female body with the 2 sisters inside of it, and they're trying to trick people into believing that there's only one of them there. However, that's not true, and they get found out, and that's the story. And I didn't finish it, and now I want to go back and I want to reread them, and I want to find that. And you know, around the same time, I started the Mind Game series by Kristen White. If you follow this blog at all, you know that I love Kristen White. I didn't finish this series either. And what? This is just sad because I am in love with Kristen's book, the Paranormality series, Chaos of Stars, which is a standalone based on like Egyptian mythology, which of course I loved. Like, I've read so many books from her that I think she's actually one of the authors I've read the most books from. And I didn't finish a series. I didn't, what? And I've been looking for new work by Kirsten White when it's been there. It's been there for me to read, and I haven't read it. Finally, in the biggest sin of all, I just remembered that there are Tamora Pierce books out there in the world that I haven't read, and I own both of them, and that is Battle Magic and Melting Stones. Granted, I'm more of a Tortall girl myself, but there are Tamora Pierce books in the world that I've never read, which is the biggest crime of my life. I have met Tammy. I love Tammy. I read all her books. If you watch my favorite rereads video, her books are literally like top 5 books I must reread when I feel bad about my life and I want to feel better. She built my life and my love of fantasy reading. It was all her. And there are books out there that I haven't read, 2 of them, which I own. One of them I got as an ARC, and I didn't read. And they're both actually like have to do with Briar, or people at least tangentially related to Briar, who's like the spunky thief of the foursome that make up the Circle series. And I can't go into those plots because it'll way spoil some of the things that happen in that trilogy, but that series, there's like at least 9 books. No, 11 books. 9 I've read, 11 I haven't. Maybe there's more now. Maybe I'm that terrible. But that, literally crazy. So there we are, guys, top 10 series that I have yet to finish. Much more positive note than the last video. If you've read any of these series and you think that I should move them up or down my list, please let me know down in the comments. If you want to freak out at me because I haven't finished them and I should have finished them, that's okay too. I will take that because I am also disappointed with myself that I haven't finished any of these series. So I'm gonna leave now and I'm gonna go read. Bye!